a short video about distribution strategies, which are getting actually slightly more complicated in today's world. I'm on page 63. I'm going to talk about promotion tomorrow. I'm not going to talk about promotion today. Promotion is a big deal. Place definitely is, it's not as complicated as promotion. So let's think about what we're trying to do in place. I think the beginning of this section on place is pretty well written relative to others. So we have this diagram, this weird little diagram. Looks like, I don't know, it's 4 squares. And it discusses the considerations. These are considerations that you need to have in your distribution plan. So, timely. Timely means that it's going to arrive when the customer expects it, or at least you can meet the expectation of the customer. Security means that the products will come to you in the same condition that you expect them, and you know that can be for Lazada, but it also can be for Pizza Hut, right? If the pizza doesn't come fast enough, it's going to be cold and it won't be as good. The steps, how many steps are involved, how many jumps you have to do from the producer or the farm, for example, and how many steps it takes to get into the customer's hands. And finally, incentives. Incentives, what is going to help the promotion of the product. So promotion obviously has one element where you're trying to reach customers directly, but we also have promotions within our distribution chain to help our distributors and shippers and transport and wholesalers to want to help push our product into the stores. So I have a lot of stories about this, but one of them, I'm a magazine publisher. That's what I did for a long time. And our magazines were free, mean fee, no price, and we distributed them to clubs and restaurants and other places of interest. And we did a bilingual version. It was mostly for people who lived in the city that we lived in, but there were a lot of tourists there. And it was bilingual. So we tried to make a magazine for, this was Nya Kamhwa Czech, so the Czech Republic. We tried to make a second magazine version. Like our free magazine was about 60 or 70 pages. But then we were going to do another culture magazine and put it in the Czech language only, and that was more than 100 pages. There was a lot of content in there. But we also thought, well, we don't want to just distribute this in the city. We want this to be available to people all around the country because it's in the language. So we tried to make some distribution deal. So we took the magazines, we printed them, we picked them up at our publisher, and then we took them to a distributor. But the distributor, they didn't really know us, right? We were a new product. So we tried to promote the magazine by giving free posters to the delivery people so they would give them to the shops, right? Because you want to have your poster up so people can see it. But there's no reason for someone to put your poster up if you're not a big company. If you're a small company, they don't really care about you. So it was very difficult to get the attention of to get the shops to really show our magazine. So we didn't do very well. We actually changed it to free version after that again. It was very difficult to distribute it unless you have the right connections throughout the whole chain, unless you're helping them sell what you're selling, unless you've got a separate promotional campaign that supports it. I remember going to one magazine shop and asking for our magazine, you know, just because I wanted to find out if they were selling it and if it was there or how many were sold. And at first they didn't even understand what we were talking about. And then second, we described it in detail and we told them more about it. And then finally they reached below the desk and they go, oh, this one here? So without the poster, no promotion to support, the magazine is under the counter. How's the customer going to know it's there? It's impossible, right? So you have to have a pretty strong relationship all the way up to the point of sale. So let's keep that in mind. Sometimes they call it POS. You should write that down. Point of sale. You see that term as the place where the customer buys. Right? So the point of sale. So up until the point of sale, you've got to support the products that you're selling. You can see this with companies, right? They go in and they put up posters of ice creams and soft drinks and Kit Kats. There's lots of promotions that go all the way from the company to the point of sale, especially for promotion of goods at the point of sale. So those are the 4 things to consider. Place refers to the method of distribution, the product, distributing the product or service to consumers. Distribution channels need to provide security, this is for products, incentives, something that wholesalers and retailers can use to help promote your product at the point of sale. The least number of distribution steps, because it's about efficiency, right? We don't, you know, the less steps, then the more smooth and the faster it is, but also the cheaper. It's, you know, the more you have to pay people in the middle for the distribution steps and transfers, and most importantly, ensure that consumers receive their product in a timely manner. And I think you should, that's working with expectations. If you order something from Hanoi, most people expect it to take a week. If you order something on Amazon in the US, people expect it to take 2 weeks. If you order something from the bubble tea shop today, people expect it to take less than an hour. So it's a matter of what the expectation of the customer is. Okay, a small business might be able to distribute directly to retailers themselves. So you might know people, you know, you might make something that's very niche marketed or very customized, or some t-shirts that you make at home. You have your own little production studio, but it's not many. You can only make like 100 a week. Maybe you find a few skate shops or some cool shops where you can have 4 or 5 shops sell your designs. So that would be something where the business can distribute directly to retailers themselves. So you're a small producer and you find some retailers and you make a deal. Simply by approaching such individual businesses. Large manufacturers, they need to be mass products, right? Usually a large manufacturer would probably distribute their product indirectly. They have to use different shipping companies, distributors, and wholesalers. No company wants to have their own whole, shipping service. You want to use a professional distributor who knows where to go. They would arrange to have a distributor who organizes transport of the product to the wholesalers and then have them move it, eventually, their product, to the retailers. Retailers would then be used to sell the product directly to consumers. So there's a 4-step process: producer, wholesaler, retailer, consumer. So that's 4 steps. The management of inventory at all stages of the distribution chain may also be required. So part of the steps of distribution is managing the inventory and also managing the security of the inventory. So let's say, ice cream companies have it very complicated, right? Their ice cream, they have to keep it cold. They produce it in some kind of freezer, frozen form. If you let ice cream get warm and then cold again, you can have a lot of bacteria, so you can't do that. So basically, you have to have special trucks that are refrigerated to transport the ice cream. Once you're at the wholesaler, you have to have some special places where you have big freezers to keep the ice cream cold. And then even in your local deliveries, you have to have some way to make sure that the ice cream gets to the shops quickly, so the shop can put the ice cream into the ice cream freezer in the shop. So there's a lot of factors involved. You don't want to be stuck in traffic with a bunch of ice cream in your truck. So that kind of management of inventory includes security of the inventory, plus making sure that there's enough to sort out the orders that customers have. So distribution is not, it's the whole process. It's the process of getting the product from whoever makes it, the manufacturer, all the way to the customer, one way or another. And that includes, and I would include the business model in that, how customers pay for it. So the business model is where does the customer pay and how do they pay? What's the payment method? So with products, it's fairly straightforward. With products, you're going to have a manufacturer, you're either going to distribute directly or you're going to find some middlemen who are going to help you with the inventory, wholesaling, and distribution. With a service, and also you're going to have controls of inventory. They're going to be electronic, and you're going to manage all that with software. And there's a lot of inventory management software that's available to help you. But then you have services. So services also have distribution, and services go from getting your hair cut to getting a taxi to getting a grab bike to food shippers to whatever kind of spas that people go to. Those are all services. So services usually, you have two kinds of services. Ones that you have to go and get the service done at the point of sale, or you have you have three kinds. You have one where you go physically to the point of sale. Two, you have the kind where you leave your computer in the shop, or you leave your motorbike in the shop to get repaired. Or three, a service where something gets delivered to you. So there's different kinds of distribution systems with services as well. The use of the internet, paragraph 3, page 63. The use of the internet has changed distribution networks significantly for small businesses, and manufacturers can often access consumers directly. So the interaction of, as I said before, promotion, how promotion and distribution work together is very, very tight, right? Because as you promote something online, you're giving an option for the customer to buy. And at that point, they have to be able to buy the product that they want to buy. If it's not available, then the whole thing falls apart. People won't order, they won't come back later. So that's included, other services like airline tickets and things that you buy online. That's how the tickets are distributed. The role of, this is lessening the role of some wholesalers and retailers and replacing some distributors with distribution organizations such as Australia Post. So some networks and shippers like the Postal Service are getting used to or streamlining their ability to serve like Amazon-style deliveries, where one item can be fairly cheaply sent somewhere. So if you can just have a warehouse and use the Australian Post to do your shipping and not hire a distributor, maybe you can have an online business without a wholesaler. So I guess that's possible. Wholesale, what is that? Ban C. And retail, ban la, if you don't remember what those words mean. Wholesale is a middle group. They sell to retail. you don't buy directly from wholesalers. You buy from the retail. So the wholesale is the middle stage that distributes to all the retailers. Usually they understand their market very well. So on page 64, actually before we do that, let me play our video. What kind of decisions are you going to make about place?
Let's take a look at the key decisions a business needs to take when it considers the most effective way, the most appropriate way to organise the distribution of its products and services. It's a concept known as the extended marketing mix. Going on the screen, 7 elements of the extended marketing mix. The traditional mix has 4: product, price, promotion, and place. And the extended mix has physical, process, and people added to it. Don't forget, with the extended marketing mix, the decisions around place or distribution need to be consistent with and integrated with the other elements of the mix. Well, what is distribution? What is place? It's all about trying to make sure that your products and services are available to customers if they wish to buy them and when they wish to buy them. So the right products in the right place at the right time, and ideally the right quantities to make sure that you're able to satisfy the demand for the product or service. And when we think about the choices that you make about how to organise distribution, there are a variety of key questions, and I've listed 4 of them down here on the screen, because these are typically the kind of issues that affect the decisions made about distribution.
So this comes from your customer research. These are questions that you should ask yourself in your customer research. Where do customers buy? Where do they buy ice cream from? Convenience stores. Where do they buy, how do they order pizza? How do they usually have, what's the percentage of people who sit in the restaurant compared to the people who order takeaway? Where do customers buy and from whom? How do they buy? Do they buy on the internet? Do they buy online? Or do they go to the shop? Is it something that's a social, situation for customers? So you have to understand what your customers want. They should also have here, like, how do they pay? I think that's an important question. How do customers pay? Do they pay through a card, via pay, cash on delivery, credit card? How do the customers buy? How do they pay? What is their preferred method of where they consume it? Do you need any middlemen, directly or intermediate? Intermediate means in the middle, distribution channels. Now for most of you with small businesses in your marketing plan, you don't need. But anything that's bigger than a local product or a mass product, for sure, you're going to need some kind of intermediary distribution. And what kind of influence does technology have on how people are buying your product? So that goes from, that starts with, from the promotional side into the website, how they purchase, what is the delivery system? Is it Amazon Prime? Is it free delivery? Is it 2-day delivery? Does the customer have options for the delivery of the product? Payment methods at the point of sale. Can I use a card? Can I use my phone to pay? Do I have to pay cash? So don't forget, and some of those are influenced by technology, of course.
Where do your target customers buy? Where do they buy the products and service that you're offering? Do they buy it from a retailer? Do they buy it direct? And who from? Is there an established way of buying that product and service that you maybe need to be consistent with in order to access the demand in the marketplace? Secondly, how do customers buy, and is that changing? So do they buy via physical stores? Do they buy online? What's the process that they go through in deciding how to buy, and what information that the customer needs both before and after the sale in order to make the sale effective. Thirdly, to what extent can you sell direct to your target consumers, or do you need to use what's known as intermediaries into a distribution channel that gets the product or service from the producer to the end consumer? And fourthly, and of course this is a big issue with all functional areas of the business, to what extent is technology changing the way that distribution is organised? Well, with those in mind, let's just quickly think about a term that we used there in the previous slide. Talked about distribution channels. What is a distribution channel? It's the flow, the way that the business gets its product from production to final consumption. So in the case of the little diagram there, if we have a producer, let's say we are the producer, do we sell direct to the customer, or are we better off selling to a wholesaler who sells them to a retailer who sells them to a consumer? What's the most appropriate distribution channel to use? And the reason why it's an important issue is that distribution channels have different stages in them, and each party or intermediary in the channel is going to take some of the profits, is going to adopt some of the responsibilities of selling the product or service. So you might have quite a complicated channel where there are 4 stages: the producer, to the wholesaler, to the retailer, to the customer. You might have one where the producer simply gives the product to agents or distributors who then sells to the customer. And of course you can have what's known as the direct model, where you buy, as a consumer, you buy direct from the producer. There's no other intermediaries involved. Where there are intermediaries, it's worth knowing about the different types. You should be familiar with the concept of a retailer. A retailer takes stock of products and sells direct to a consumer. The retailer itself may be buying from a wholesaler. So your typical corner shop will be buying its crisps and chocolates and drinks from a wholesaler, breaking up the big packages and putting them on sale. It could be that you buy direct from a distributor. The producer sends to a distributor. So there are different types of intermediary depending on the purpose of the channel. And in a separate video, we'll look at what's perhaps a more common, increasingly common way of organising distribution, which is what's known as multi-channel distribution, where businesses use more than one type of arrangement in order to get their products to customers. There we go, that's just an introduction to some of the key issues that are good.
So, yeah, so just to make sure you understand, like the retailer is the store where customers go in, wholesaler is selling larger quantities to the retailer. A distributor is usually has something that people, like they already know they need. So like if you have let's say you have a car repair shop. So the car repair shop doesn't want to have all the parts waiting on the wall, but when you come in, they can see what problems you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of parts, and then the distributor is there to deliver the correct parts to so you can repair that particular car. So a distributor, excuse me, a distributor is in between. It's like kind of, they have a warehouse, but they're also selling to services, typically, not as products. Agents, as we know, they sell services, mostly travel services, organization of educational services. So an agent is somebody who's there to customize a particular service that you want. So mostly at the top, you're doing the products, and here you're dealing with services. Okay, so our book has different levels of distribution methods. This one is the most common, the first one is the most common model. manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer. The distributor does not have to be in there. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. When they talk about distributor, in this case, they should talk about the shipping company, right? The company that's actually driving trucks. The most common model, used when there's a wide variety of choices for a product and a large customer base. In other words, mass products. The retailer is not able to stock all the varieties available and must frequently restock. For example, sunglasses, home furniture, clothing, shoes. So, so you're using warehouses, basically warehousing to put all the products that are wholesaled. And then we have another kind, which would be, so I think everybody can visualize the first one, right? The producer, they make a factory, lots of output, then they have to ship it to some warehouse, and in the warehouse, the wholesalers pick it up, and then they take it, they have connections with all the retailers. So the money has to be collected from the retailers back to the wholesalers, and then collect back to you. Or you have to take the money from the retailers directly and then pay the wholesalers. So the money flows back to you in different ways. Second one, payment, what is the purpose? Payment of a commission to an agent would be used if the product being sold is quite specialized or new to the market. For example, textbooks or specialized tools. So in this case, you're talking about perhaps, let's say, construction equipment. You're going to order it. I'm an agent. You're going to do a construction project. You need 2 cranes, 5 dump trucks, and a steamroller. Okay, I can order that for you. So usually that's something that's going to be a big ticket item. It's going to be something that you cannot warehouse. It's going to take a while to deliver, and you need some kind of agent, some kind of specialist. Textbooks is similar. I'm trying to establish, the reason why you have an agent is because you're trying to establish a relationship. So if I'm going to sell textbooks to SIC, then I'm going to come here and try to make a deal and see what your needs are and try to fulfill your needs and customize that relationship. Let's see, where there's a small customer base for smaller items, for example, projectors or computers, wholesalers or distributor directly to customers. They're talking about, I think, movie projectors there, so you know all the customers already. If there's no walk-in customers, or there's not somebody who's going to find out about it and say, oh, I want to have a movie projector. Who wants to pay $10,000 for a movie projector besides a cinema? No one. If I'm selling these projectors, I can just say, okay, there are 100 cinemas in Saigon. I just contact all of them, and then when they need something from me, they will know me and they can call me. So, and then I'll just send directly from, I'll have a few cameras in Vietnam, and I can send something directly, camera projectors. I have a few projectors in Vietnam, I can just send them whatever I need, and then I can restock my warehouse at the wholesaler and sell directly to customers whenever they need it. No shop, there's no shop, there's no reason for it. Then we have manufacturer directly to small retailer. This would be people, 2 kinds of people I can imagine. People who make small batch customized items like art, and also people who make things that are like boats. Actually, that's not true. This is completely wrong. Long haul trucks. You're going to sell a truck to a small retailer? People don't go into, retail means that customers go in there shopping looking for something. So I don't think people look for trucks. They don't go in and say, hey, I want to buy a truck, and I see your trucks. They don't do that. Mostly, I think the example they're giving here, like trucks, is like cranes, like I gave an example before. You would have an agent who would be responsible for this area, and then you'd contact them to buy trucks. Manufacturer directly to small retailer. are local, usually local people who produce things for a local market. So if you go online, you can actually see a lot of people who make their own, cookies or cakes, things like that. They're selling them directly to customers online. But there are some, there used to be some retail shops where people would come in and sell their things through other people's retail shops. So that one's probably the least common at this point. But as you can imagine, there's a lot of creativity in how you're going to be able to distribute your product. The main thing and the most important thing is that you understand your customers and how they shop. So if you can understand your customers and how they shop, that'll help you to distribute better. So customer research is key for this. We'll upload the videos from my video. And I wish this one's a short one. I hope you have a great day. And I'm going to put some homework up and probably Zoom tomorrow afternoon. Okay? Have a good one.